Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I am Joshua Barnes, live from the Firstpost studios. Let's begin with the top headlines. Pakistan's Interior Minister says a suicide bombing outside the district court buildings in a residential area of the country's capital kills at least 12 people and wounds over 25 others. Thailand's army says hostilities still remain with Cambodia, despite a US-brokered peace deal after a landmine blast injured 4 Thai soldiers along the border in July. Romania says suspected Russian drone fragments landed on its territory, calling the incident an accident amid rising airspace violations and ongoing Russian strikes in Ukraine's Danube ports. Taiwan evacuates over 3,000 people and issues land warnings as Typhoon Fanwong approaches, which is expected to make landfall on the island's southwestern coast after leaving 18 dead in the Philippines. And China orders the removal of gay dating apps Blued and Finker from mobile stores. Apple confirms action follows directive from cyberspace regulators as activists condemn moves against LGBTQ communities. We begin with a major tragedy in the heart of India's capital. Last evening, a powerful explosion near Delhi's iconic Red Fort has left the city shaken. A massive blast near gate number 1 of the Red Fort metro station killed at least 12 people and injured several others. The explosion involved a Hyundai i20 car that officials say was moving slowly at a red light when it suddenly blew up. CCTV footage has captured the visuals of the suspect and the car involved. Chaotic scenes that emerged from the blast site have sent shockwaves across India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the entire nation stands with the victims of this incident. Speaking from Bhutan, the Indian Prime Minister said that the conspirators behind last evening's blast will not be spared. Let's listen in.
कल शाम दिल्ली में हुई भयावह घटना ने सभी के मन को व्यथित कर दिया है। मैं पीड़ित परिवारों का दुख समझता हूं। आज पूरा देश उनके साथ खड़ा है। मैं कल रात भर इस घटना की जांच में जुटी सभी एजेंसियों के साथ, सभी महत्वपूर्ण लोगों के साथ संपर्क में था, विचार विमर्श चलता था, जानकारियों के तार जोड़े जा रहे थे। हमारी एजेंसियां इस षड्यंत्र की तह तक जाएगी। इसके पीछे के षड्यंत्रकारियों को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। All those responsible will be brought to justice.
And Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said the investigation is underway into the incident and the findings of this probe will soon be made public.
The findings of the investigation will soon be made public. I want to formally assure the nation that those responsible for this tragedy will be brought to the justice and will not be spared under any circumstances.
Earlier today, the National Security Guard, India's quick reaction counter-terrorism force, reached the site of the blast to take stock of the situation. The Union Home Ministry has handed over the investigation into this incident to the National Investigation Agency, or NIA, in Lucknow, the capital of Uttar Pradesh state. Joint raids were conducted at several locations by counter-terrorism agencies, amid a state of alert across India. This is a developing story. We'll break down what we know so far for you. Here is the timeline of events. Officials say a car was moving slowly at a red light and exploded. Delhi's police commissioner said that the slow-moving vehicle stopped at a red light outside Red Fort at 6:52 p.m. local time. At 6:55 p.m, emergency services first got a call, and by 7:29, the fire was doused. Reports say the key suspect in this incident is a man named Umar Nabi, who appears to be a doctor. Police have also detained the car's owner as investigators work to determine what caused the blast. Before leaving for Bhutan this morning, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviewed the situation with Home Minister Amit Shah. The Home Minister visited the blast site after meeting injured victims at the N18G hospital. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has chaired a high-level security review meeting with the Delhi Police Commissioner in attendance. The Home Minister was set to hold another crucial meeting with top officials at 3 p.m. local time, as per reports. Delhi police have filed an FIR, or First Investigation Report, under the UAPA and Explosives Act. And several places, including Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Bihar, Maharashtra, Chandigarh and Kerala, have been put on high alert. Security has been tightened at airports, metros and key government buildings. Teams from the National Investigation Agency, the National Security Guard and the Forensic Science Laboratory were rushed to the blast site yesterday. Messages of condolence and concern have been pouring in from across India and around the world. As we said, the incident unfolded near Delhi's historic Red Fort. The Red Fort blast site sits in one of the busiest pockets of the capital, surrounded by key landmarks packed with people every single day. Less than 2 kilometers away is Chandi Chowk, one of the city's oldest markets. Also close is the old Delhi railway station, which handles around 250 trains each day. Jama Masjid, located close by, also sees thousands of visitors at any given time. And then there's Arun Jaitley Stadium, Delhi's biggest cricket ground. The cause of the explosion remains unclear, but officials say every possibility is being examined. We'll continue tracking this investigation as it unfolds. For expert insights on the evolving situation, I'm joined by Tom Cooper, warfare and military analyst, joining us from Austria. And let's look at the emergency services responses after last night, of course. A call was made at around 6:55 p.m. Within around 40 minutes, the fires were doused and people were being sent off to hospital. How difficult is it to manage a blast like that and deal with it effectively when so much is unknown?
Well, the first problem is, of course, that New Delhi is a densely populated city, so it takes time for the emergency responders to get to the situation, to the site of the attack in this case, and this is taking time. So, as next, all of them to get insight what is going on, what is where is who, where is the damage, where are the casualties, who is dead, who is alive, who can be saved, who, whatever, you know. Such decisions have to be taken in a matter of seconds, and it's never easy. And then, once the casualties are removed, then starts the investigation. And that is by then, I was sort of pleasantly surprised to see that the National Investigative Agency was on the spot almost as soon as emergency responders. So the investigation began.
Moving on. In Manila, a potential diplomatic flashpoint is brewing. The Philippine government may hand over one of its most controversial figures to the International Criminal Court. Senator Bato de la Rosa. He is the former police chief who spearheaded former President Rodrigo Duterte's deadly war on drugs. So, in many ways, he was Duterte's right-hand man. The Department of Justice, or DOJ, has said that the Philippines will comply with a possible arrest request from Interpol, or the International Criminal Court, if one is issued against Senator Bato de la Rosa. The DOJ said it is weighing both legal and diplomatic factors before taking any action. The Chief State Counsel said that while the Philippines is no longer a member of the ICC, the government may still comply with an international arrest warrant in the spirit of diplomacy and reciprocity. He explained that the DOJ is aware of its international standing and that non-compliance could have diplomatic implications. The Prosecutor General confirmed that as of yet, no decision has been made, but said the state would eventually have to comply if a valid warrant is issued. He added that the main question now is not whether the government will comply, but how long it might take to implement such an order once it arrives.
As much as there has been no decision yet as to what route to take or what option to take, and as much as we have not yet received or seen a copy of the warrant, everything is still there. These are still options that are still being considered.
Despite speculation, the DOJ clarified that it has not received any formal notice or warrant from Interpol regarding Senator De La Rosa. Earlier on November the 8th, the former Justice Secretary of the Philippines said in a radio interview that a warrant of arrest already existed. However, the ICC later said it could not confirm the existence of any such warrant. The Chief State Counsel said the government is studying all possible options in case a warrant is issued against De La Rosa.
So all of this is still operating purely in the realm of theory. What we in the Department of Justice want to make public and explain is that there are two options available to the state under Republic Act 9851, and those are extradition or surrender.
The Prosecutor General added that the DOJ will wait for the Supreme Court's ruling on pending petitions relating to the handover of former President Rodrigo Duterte before taking definitive action. He said the department will follow the High Court's direction on whether extradition or surrender is the appropriate legal path. Earlier this year, former President Duterte was arrested under an Interpol warrant before being handed over to the ICC. The arrest followed multiple petitions before the Supreme Court challenging the legality of the government's cooperation with international agencies. De La Rosa, who served as Duterte's police chief, was among the petitioners questioning the move. As chief of the Philippine National Police, De La Rosa led Oplan Tokang, the controversial anti-drug campaign launched under Duterte's administration. The ICC is investigating both Duterte and De La Rosa for alleged crimes against humanity, including murder linked to thousands of extrajudicial killings. Human rights groups estimate that up to 30,000 people may have died in operations carried out under the campaign. While no formal warrant has been received, the Department of Justice has indicated that the Philippines will act in accordance with international law and diplomatic obligations if required. For now, the government is awaiting the Supreme Court's guidance before taking any action on the possible arrest of Senator Bato De La Rosa. Moving on, immigration crackdown in the United States is spreading fast to its neighbours. 99 days. That's how long Indians now have to wait for a Canadian visa, the longest among all major source countries. And that wait is creating real frustration for thousands of families and travellers. The latest figures come from Canada's Immigration Department. This wait time, which is more than 3 months, applies strictly to visitor visas from India. For those applying for the super visa, meant for parents and grandparents, the wait is even longer, nearly 6 months. These delays are leaving thousands of Indian families in limbo. Travel plans have collapsed, business meetings have been postponed, and family reunions are now on hold. And that's not all. Canada's immigration backlog continues to grow. At the moment, nearly 291,000 people are still waiting for their citizenship decisions. The average wait time is now 13 months. Some applicants have been waiting up to 2 years just to receive their citizenship certificates. On the bright side, student visa processing for Indian students has slightly improved, now averaging 4 weeks instead of 5. Work permits remain steady at 10 weeks, while permanent residency applications now take more than 2 months to process. The Canadian government is blaming the delays on extensive background checks, staff shortages, and an overloaded immigration system. But the real impact goes far beyond paperwork. It puts the spotlight on the gap between Canada's global ambitions and its actual capacity to deliver. This slowdown could also impact India-Canada relations. Canada relies heavily on Indian students, workers, and tourists for its economy. Last year, Indians made up nearly 40% of all international students within Canada. And with these new delays, talent and investment could be diverted elsewhere, with many already turning to the United Kingdom, Australia, or Germany for faster approvals. These backlogs come at a time when Ottawa is already tightening its cap on foreign students in an effort to control the surging job and housing markets. Experts say this immigration slowdown could strip away Canada's soft power and weaken one of its most important partnerships within Asia. For now, the promise of Canada comes with a long pause, a 99-day wait and counting. And on to some market updates now. Gold is once again glittering on the global stage. Prices of the precious metal have jumped to their highest level in 3 weeks as investors turn to it in uncertain times. On Tuesday, spot gold rose 0.4% to over $4,100 an ounce. These might just sound like numbers, but what they really show is that gold has regained strength, back above the psychologically important $4,000 mark. So what's driving this rally? Well, it's a mix of economic anxiety, policy uncertainty, and investor psychology. First, the US government shutdown, which is the longest in American history, now over 40 days, has rattled markets. Even though the Senate has passed a bill to end it, investors remain worried about its economic fallout. The shutdown has already delayed key economic data releases, and recent surveys show consumer confidence at its lowest level in more than 3 years. That kind of nervousness pushes people towards safer assets, and gold is the classic safe haven. Second, there's the ongoing uncertainty over US trade policy and the Federal Reserve's next move. Some investors believe the Fed might cut rates again in December to boost the slowing US economy. Lower interest rates generally make gold more attractive because people earn less from keeping their money in banks or bonds. So gold looks like a better store of value. The mixed signals from weak jobs data to hints of economy slowdown have added to the confusion. And when there's confusion, gold tends to shine. This time, interestingly, the price rally in the precious metal is there despite a strong US dollar, which usually makes gold more expensive for foreign buyers. That's a sign that investors are looking past short-term currency moves and focusing instead on long-term risks, especially amid fears of slower growth and a political gridlock in Washington. And it's not just about short-term traders. There's another quieter trend behind the yellow metals rally: ETFs or exchange-traded funds. Think of them as large investment baskets that hold gold on behalf of investors. When people buy into these funds, it increases demand for gold even further. And what follows after that is simple economics. Central banks have been buying gold steadily this year, adding to their reserves as part of a global trend known as de-dollarization, a gradual shift away from dependence on the US dollar. Combine all of this together, and you get a year-to-date surge of nearly 59% in gold prices, and a price rise of almost 25% over the past 6 months alone. Even other precious metals are following the leader. Both platinum and silver edged up today, tracking gold's strength. So where does gold go from here? Well, experts say prices may stay volatile in the short term, but dips could attract more buying as uncertainty lingers. With questions hanging over America's economic health, trade direction, and rate policy, the yellow metal could remain the investor's go-to shield. After all, when the world looks shaky, gold doesn't just glitter, it glows. That's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, thank you for watching.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines. Detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT. Only on Firstpost.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost Live, where we bring you the day's top 4 stories from across the world. I'm Joshua Barnes, live from the Firstpost studios. Let's begin with the headlines.